you're listening to Food Rebels and welcome. This is the podcast that brings you brands, chefs and live on-air tastings. A show that's dedicated to the more rebellious side of the food world where we celebrate the people who have challenged the status quo. We'll be giving you a peek behind the curtains and inside the minds of the people who are shaking up our food industry. You know me, I'm the show host, AJ Sharp, taste expert, food writer, great taste food judge and of course business owner. I love meeting new people and tasting new foods. So, sit back as we hear more stories from people in food who dare to be different. Hello and welcome to Food Rebels. I'm really excited about today's guest, the culinary powerhouse behind one of the boldest flavour brands in the UK at the moment. She is a best-selling author, champion of Jamie Oliver's Great Cookbook Challenge and self-declared chili queen. And you might know her from her legendary chili crunch sauce, which I am lucky enough to be tasting in the studio today. But Dominique's story isn't just about chili. It's about starting from absolute scratch, mid-pandemic, with 3 kids under 5 and no food experience and a label made on Canva. So welcome.
Thank you so much.
It's so great to have you on the show. There's so much I want to ask you about. Let's just start. What gave you the idea to just go for it with Wolf's Kitchen?
So I'm half Thai. And my Thai auntie Dang has a lot to speak for. She used to make these amazing sauces. And she came over and she had made this massive kilner jar of this tamarind sauce. And I just had my first baby at this point. She served us some crispy salmon with lashings of this sauce. And I remember being absolutely blown away. I'd never had this flavour profile before, although I now know that actually tamarind is used in a lot of dishes. I had no idea. So if you've ever had a pad Thai, it's in that. But I hadn't realised, and it was just this most incredible moment, this kind of light bulb moment, if you like. So I knew then that was going to be the product. It took a few years. I had 3 babies. That was at the beginning of my first one. I then got to the point when my youngest was 1. So they were close in age. They were 1, 2 and 3, I think. And I was doing a bit of soul searching. What do I want to do with my life? I didn't have a career to fall back on. I'd been a stay-at-home mum for a few years. I realised that I could be really passionate about this sauce. I always carried a bottle of Tabasco in my bag. That's just kind of how we roll. Still do it.
Excellent. I love that.
Yeah. So that was kind of the light bulb moment. It was before the pandemic, actually. I sort of had this in my mind for a while. I think it was 2019. Right, I'm going to start this business. And yeah, that was the thought process, really. Just get this amazing flavour out into the world, something I can be passionate about. Didn't really think too much more about it.
That's amazing. And you said that you did it without any kind of experience of the food world beforehand. That's incredible.
Yeah.
How did you get the knowledge and the information and work out how to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of research. This was just before, obviously, things were locked down. So I think in 2019, I started going to things like Virgin Startup had events, Prize Nation had events. I started doing some research. So actually, there's a lot available online, of course. And I went to the British Library. You know, I found some information. I think I went to an event the Virgin Startup did called Doing Business with Big Business. And it was all about getting into retail and, you know, making your avatar for your brand, doing your SWOT analysis, just doing what I could do and learning with those resources, kind of winging it. I didn't ever do a business plan because I didn't really understand what that was. Haven't really done a proper one, if I'm honest. So that's kind of how I started off doing it, just, you know, feeling my way, immersing myself. In 2019, before I actually started the food business, I went to Leith Cookery School. So nothing to do with the food business, it is in food. I kind of thought, you know what, I really want to write recipes. And I somehow think that having a brand is going to combine. I didn't know how it was going to work, but I thought going to Leith, at least it was throwing myself into food. Very different to the food world because it didn't teach me how to make a sauce or have a food business, but it really helped with the cookery book a few years later. So I kind of just threw myself into it and did as much as I could and learn as much as I could on, you know, going on the ground.
That's amazing because the Prue Leith course is one of the great courses, isn't it? That, you know, a lot of today's kind of famous chefs have been through the Prue Leith course.
Yeah.
You among them. I mean, you then went on to write a cookery book. I mean, what order was this? In my head, I've got this 1-year-old, 2-year-old, and 4-year-old, which I only ever had 2 children. But when they were that young, I was not consciously thinking about whether or not I knew what a business plan even was.
I know, exactly. Oh God, it was. I remember, you know, they were what was it? I think 1, 2 and 3, when I had this sort of light bulb moment, right, this is what I want to do. I had the idea for the sauce business, but I didn't action it because it took me a while. I think for me, it turns out I need a goal. So I think it was early 2019. That was when I made the decision, right, I'm going to get into food, or late 2018. I then found the course at Leith because I thought, you know what, if I want to get into food, I want to keep my options open. I want to just keep it open. So I enrolled in this professional course. It was an evening course, and it was quite tough because it's the other side of London to where I live. So it was at least an hour in rush hour. My youngest was waking up in the middle of the night. So it was one of those where you lie on the floor, put your hand through the cot. And I'd have got home after 10:30 doing this course and then be up in the night with a 1-year-old on a freezing floor. So I did that, I did the course 2 terms, 6 months in total in 2019. I'd been talking about this blooming sauce business, and it was only in the September when I thought to myself, 2 of them or one of them's going to nursery. I'm going to have 3 days, 3 mornings a week. So I set myself a goal of saying, right, by Christmas 2019, I'm going to get to my local farmers market and I'm going to test the market. That was one of the things I learned at the Enterprise Nation food event in 2019. Test it at the local market. It's all very well getting your friends to do it, but you need people who are going to put their money where their mouth is and buy the product. So that was always the first kind of checkpoint, if you like. And so
how did that go? How was that first market?
It went really well, and I somehow mysteriously managed to find a manufacturer really early on, a small manufacturer who I was with for a couple of years. They took my recipes. I went to see them. They manufactured it. I did my labels on Canva initially. No branding,
Incredible.
Just kind of Wolf's Kitchen and my local farmers market's Ali Pali, and it's a really good market. And I did 2 dates and sold 250 bottles. So I knew I could see their expressions. They loved it. And that was the first sort of tick. I've done that. I know now. I've tested the market, as thoroughly as I could do. And I was going to launch it. And we were due to launch in the April 2020. And obviously lockdown happened. I had enlisted the help of a friend who's a designer. So she was doing the labels for me. And actually that pause, because we all had to pause, I had no idea what was going to happen, meant that I realised the labels weren't right. I'd forgotten to put things like a barcode on. I didn't even know what a barcode was at that point in time. Yeah. The branding wasn't right. I realised after sitting with the labels for a couple of months, do you know what, this isn't right. Luckily, we hadn't actually printed them. So it gave me a bit of breathing time because I'm someone who likes to throw myself in.
Yeah, I believe you. I totally believe you.
You know what I mean? Once I've got an idea, I don't need to wait for it. And I have heard this, jump before you're ready, start before you're ready. And that is something, it doesn't always work, but I do think it was important to me. Otherwise, you could procrastinate and think about it for ages. And I did think about it for ages, but once I'd given myself a little target, I knew that's what I was going to do. So that's kind of how I did it. And I just threw myself into it. And then when lockdown, it was 2020 in June, I had the bottles and I thought, and my designer was the one to say, come on, I was in a bit of a fog, if you recall. No, what's going to happen? I was in a panic mode like everyone else. But she just said, come on, let's do it. You've got the products there. So I started just selling to local delis and taking the kids with me in the car to deliver the products.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, the tenacity of doing that with 3 kids and lockdown, which was like psychologically quite challenging for a lot of people. It was a frightening time. And to then go, I'm going to make a thing. I just think it's incredible. I know there are stories of people who've had this sort of flash of creativity during that period of time, but I really take my hat off to them because it was a weird time. You couldn't get ingredients, you couldn't get labels, you couldn't get anything, could you? It was weird.
Yeah, you couldn't get vegetables or eggs. It was frightening, but it actually gave me a new sense of purpose. I'd been a stay-at-home mum for best part of 5 years, and as much as I love my kids, there is that sort of, you lose your identity as a mother, I think. I certainly did. And I know a lot of women have been in a similar position, especially as I didn't have a career to go back to. So there was that soul searching for a while. And as soon as I realised what I wanted to do, and I just remember Monday mornings, I'd actually love a Monday because it was, wow, I can now focus on my business. I was so excited, and sort of I'd had sort of, down periods or whatever. And it's full on when you've got young kids. It really is. And it just gave me another sort of lease of life and a renewed sort of energy and vigor. And I actually was so excited about doing it that even though it was tough times, this was the sort of light that kept me going.
And that feeling of flow, I think they call it, really tells you that you're doing the right thing, that this is actually like part of your purpose, that you've come to the come to earth, and this is part of what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
and I think that's lovely because it's a good feeling, isn't it? It's a warm feeling. When exactly, while you were raising 3 kids and probably doing the school run and teaching them to read and running a chili business, chili sauce business, when did you get time to write a cookery book? I can't quite work this out.
I know. This was by this point, I'd been going for about a year and a half, selling to independent delis. I can't remember, 500 sort of individual independent suppliers. And I remember it was almost the week before, I was saying to someone, gosh, what's my USP as a brand? You know, you're kind of doing this brainstorming as a brand. And it came back to me writing the recipes myself, and I thought I really would love to do a cookbook that ties it all together. You know, I'm either giving people a solution because they are using one of my products and making a really quick and easy delicious meal, or they're going to make one of my recipes. And about a week later, maybe I manifested this, I don't know, I found something on Instagram, you know, would you like to apply for this program? And I couldn't believe it, because it was all about the concept for a cookbook. It wasn't just a MasterChef thing, which, you know, I am a home cook. I'm not even though I went to a professional course, I'm definitely a home cook, so I wouldn't have probably done very well at MasterChef. But this was about the concept for a cookbook, and I knew immediately what it was going to be: easy Asian-inspired food for busy people. And I applied for it. And actually, they said before I had applied, they said, "Oh, Jamie Oliver's going to be presenting." I thought, "Oh my goodness, I better make the deadline." 2-minute video, you know, why I want to do it, and then it was all done on Zoom because we were still in COVID times. Yeah, and I got through, and it was honestly it was a call I got with a no number withheld, and it was the most exciting call I've ever had.
Wow.
Saying I was through just to the next stage. But that first call was the call of future promise. You know, it was very
amazing.
exciting.
What was it like? How many was it? Just one episode? How did it work?
No, there were how many episodes were there? There were 6 finalists in the end. I think there might have been, I think there were 7 episodes in total in the show. And the first 3 episodes were with different rounds of people, and then they whittled it down. So, I couldn't believe I got through. I mean, I remember the dish I did, it was do your signature dish. And I thought, right, okay, tamarind, being the product that started this all, I had to do something with tamarind. And I did a chicken tray bake, and it was pretty home cooking, pretty beige and brown. And the guy before me was a chef, and he'd done something really fancy. And I thought, oh my goodness, what can I exit back? Can I walk backwards and do something else? Why have I done this dish? But it turns out that the judges loved the flavours, and that was what they were looking for: accessible home cooking that really delivered on flavour that anyone can make.
That's incredible. So have I got one of these?
No, because I didn't use them in the show.
I didn't use these are sort of newer iterations.
No, I had those out. I think those launched in 2021. So I started with 3 bottled sauces: the tamarind ketchup, hot and sour, and jalapeno and lime. And then a year later, you know, I'd been making pastes and stuff. I didn't have any extra time in lockdown, let's face it, with 3 kids. But I had been experimenting in my kitchen, and I'd made that's my jalapeno and lime, one of our best sellers. The chili oil, I'd been making that in lockdown, inspired by family recipes and things like that. But I realised I had to bottle that as well. So are you having the jalapeno and lime there?
This is amazing. I'm just eating the jalapeno and lime on a teaspoon because I'm weird like that. Oh my goodness, my whole mouth just came alive with limey, chili, warm, really umami though. It's like really beautiful rounded flavour, but fruity.
Yeah, it's fruity. For me, I wanted something really fresh. So it's inspired.
Fresh.
And it's inspired by a Thai nam prik, which is sort of a chili. They have green chilies, but it actually ends up being more Mexican in vibe. It just, you know, which is my second. Well, I absolutely love Mexican food as well, but this was inspired by Thai chili sauces.
Oh, it's wonderful. I would put this on something that's probably meaty but really rich and oily, because this is going to cut through meaty juices and things like that. It's amazing, absolutely incredible. And then which is the next 2 that I should try? I've got lemon and ginger paste. Lemongrass and ginger spice paste. Yeah. And chili crunch, which I know is the main event.
Obviously, the main event. I mean, I also use the lemongrass and ginger spice paste. I mean, not every day, but almost every day for a quick lunch. So you wouldn't necessarily have it like that, but it's so vibrant and aromatic. I have it stirred into a jar of beans, or black beans or white beans, and I have it as a salad dressing as well. It's so versatile. Quick curry.
It's quite sweet, isn't it?
It's got a sweetness to it. It's got that ginger. It's got that lemongrass, obviously, in it. Really vibrant. Yeah.
On the back, I can see it says quick prawn curry. And this is the lemongrass and ginger spice paste. So you can just pop that in with some coconut milk and whatever else you want to put into your curry. And that is really lovely.
Yeah, it's so
really
good.
quick and easy evening meal territory.
Yeah, exactly. And quick work from home lunch. I can make my lunch in about 5 minutes. And this is my chili crunch. I get through a jar a week on my own.
Do you?
Yeah. I
Well,
literally...
That's an advocate, if ever there was.
Get to the bits. It's all about the crunch and just give it a little stir, but get to the bits. Yeah, I have about 2 tablespoons on my fried egg.
Do you? Wow, I love putting chili on my fried egg.
Oh, my God.
I just put chili flakes on.
Oh, this is game-changing then.
This is going to change my life.
I think I've had people say it has. You know, I'm not being big-headed, but...
Wow. I was not expecting that. I know it's called chili crunch. I was not expecting it to crunch. I was looking at it because it's all oily. Oh, my goodness, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, genuinely crispy, crunchy.
Well, you probably hear me crunching.
You can hear you crunching. That's a good advert. ASMR is going to go wild on that.
Absolutely. Drizzle over ramen, dollop on eggs, dip in your dim sum. Oh, this is lovely. Put some in your hummus.
Yeah, it's actually great with anything from pasta, you know, great with hummus, which I'll be having some. I have it, as I say, on my eggs. I have it almost every day.
I've just eaten 3 spoonfuls of this crispy chili oil. I didn't expect to do that. I didn't expect to love it so much. I read some reviews about it online and I hadn't tasted it. When the sample arrived in the studio, I was like, no, I'm going to taste it on air.
Oh, amazing.
It's so much better to taste it live and be like, I'm just going to react. And I know that some of the listeners find that really funny because I get these messages being like, I'm not sure if you liked that one. And I'm like, but I really like that one. I really do. It's amazing. Absolutely incredible. There's a lot of different cultural influences here, aren't there? You sort of mentioned Mexico, your Thai origin.
Yeah, so my the main influence is Thai. My mum is Thai, so that is where I get most of my inspiration from. But even when you go to Bangkok, it's a real melting pot. It's not just Thai food. My great grandfather was Chinese. There's a lot of influence from Chinese cuisine actually. In when you go to Bangkok, the populations and cultures are really intertwined. So for me, it's East and Southeast Asian flavors. It's that punchy, spicy, salty, sour, sweet, that zingy heat that you get. That is what I absolutely love. You know, and I go and try that and I'm blown away and it makes me very excited. I could eat all of those flavors all the time. And actually that's why I like Mexican as a sort of other cuisine, because it's got a similarity in that zingy, spicy heat you get. But I love, obviously, Thai food and all Asian cuisine. So
Absolutely.
this is
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, so I guess what I do is a modern take on those Asian flavours, you know?
And it feels like that. I mean, didn't the word umami originate in that area? And umami meaning savoury and rich and just really, really lovely tasting.
Moorish and kind of... Oh, it's that, you know, things like, obviously the sauces you've got have all got that umami-ness. The crispy chili or my chili crunch, which you just tried, has shiitake mushroom powder in it. So I use that because a lot of these crispy chili oils in Asia have dried shrimp in it, which is delicious, but it's very shrimpy and not everyone loves it. And mine are, you know, accidentally vegan. And I use the shiitake mushroom to give it that extra boost of umami-ness. And it really works.
And I think you're right. There is, you know, fish sauce is obviously used a lot in Thai cooking. And I think it is something that I love it personally, but I know that not everybody does. And some people go, oh, I can smell the fish sauce. Whereas I'm like, yum, I can smell the fish sauce. But I totally get why the shiitake mushroom would be a really good swap out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, what is the main influence then? Did you mention Mexico?
No, that's not the
really,
main influence at all. No. It's just Thailand is going to be the main influence. It is Thailand. And I think there is a crossover in the ingredients you get in Thai cuisine, in Malaysian, Singaporean cuisine. It's lemongrass, there's ginger, there's garlic, there's chilies, you know, those go across Southeast Asia, to be honest. But it's Thailand is always going to be the closest to my heart because that's where my mum's from and that's the cuisine I've had the most of. I love so many different of those cuisines. You know, they get me very, very excited. And I'm always on the lookout to try new restaurants and to just always get inspired.
Well, I can see it. I mean, the chili crunch, though, it's really unusual because it's in oil and it crunches in your mouth. You're not expecting it. So I can see why it would work on eggs or something that doesn't really have a texture of its own, except for sort of squodgy. That would add that beautiful kind of crunch to it. But what is it about the chili crunch? Because people go nuts for it, don't they? They go totally nuts.
I know, the reviews are amazing. I honestly, whenever, you know, I've made this recipe, this is my recipe, I fine-tuned it and I'm so proud of it. And actually, people say this is the best chili oil they've ever had. There are a lot of chili oils out there, but this one is quite different. It's got as I said, it's the layers of texture, the layers of flavour, crispy onions, crispy garlic. It's got a lot to it and it's so versatile as well. It's got no nasties in it, no additives. It's really simple ingredients. And I think because you can have it on so many different things, people just get you through loads of jars. I was sitting next to someone at an event, never met this person. It turned out she'd been buying my Chilli Crunch by the 6 case,
Wow.
on subscription at one of the places we sell it. And that just says to me, she was a super fan. So nice to meet people in the flesh.
Well, I can see that, because the thing about chili oil, often, I love chili oil, I love chili, but often if the chili flakes sort of stick in your mouth sometimes, do you know what I mean? Like they're almost slightly dry, or you don't get that with this. But I think because it is crunchy, it just sort of, you literally feel like you can eat it with a spoon.
Yeah, and it's not all about the heat. It's got that heat to it as well. But I think actually what I wanted, I wanted to balance the flavours. So it's got a balance of salty and a balance of sweet as well. A little bit of sweetness in there. So it acts as this seasoning, which just goes so well on, so many dishes. So if my kids, let's say I'm making a dal for them, and this is obviously not being authentic in any way, shape or form, but if I'm making a curry or anything else, and they don't want the heat, I will just add dollops onto my dish. And I get that. I can char some green beans, put some of this on, and I've got an instant dish. And I made a dressing yesterday, which was amazing. It was with orange juice. And It was so amazing on my crispy fried rice that I did for a quick, what can I do with this rice for my lunch, So there's so many things you can do with it. And just, it makes everything taste better.
Brilliant. Where can we buy it? Where can listeners pick up a bottle?
Oh gosh, so it's available on Ocado. The whole range is on Ocado. It's in selected co-ops. It's on Amazon. It's in lots of independents. My website is actually going to go live soon, but I do have stockists on my website, so go there and check it out. Yeah.
We'll have a look. But I was fascinated then when you said that your children may not want something as spicy. Have they not grown up as absolute chili fiends with chili oils around them all the time?
I know. Do you know what? They love Asian food. Japanese is actually their favourite. They're spoiled. We had a great little sushi takeaway in near where we live. But they love the Asian flavours. But they're still not as keen on the heat as I'd like them to be. Having said that, my daughters in particular, they love a vinegary sweet dressing. One of the things I do with the dressing is to make a kind of smack cucumber. It's just got, I think it's soy, vinegar, sugar, and the chili oil. And I have caught them stealing my bowl that I was going to have for lunch and drinking the dressing. So even though it's spicy, because it's sweet with the vinegar as well, they love it. So they do actually like that. But anything too hot, a bit wussy. But we're gonna teach them.
Well, they'll grow, won't they? I mean, what age are your children?
So they are now 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, so they're still little. They're like mine. Mine are 9 and nearly 11. And they're just, I mean, my 11-year-old is just starting to come into tasting slightly more exciting, spicy dishes. But I've exposed them to it the whole way through. I'm constantly trying to get them to taste all these different flavours. It's just, there's a comfort, I think, in eating the same stuff all the time.
Yeah. That said, they can easily manage a packet of Doritos hot if faced with that challenge. I don't know what it is. There's something in there.
Yes. I think we all know what it is. It may be UPF. Very delicious. That's incredible. So you've evolved, like the business it's evolved so much since you were selling initially at farmers markets. But where do you want to take it? Have you got it to exactly where you want it now, or what's the future looking like?
Yeah, we are literally still at the very baby steps. It is still me just full-time in the business, but I'm now starting to outsource some of it. So it's amazing. I didn't even know what the word supply chain meant until I realized that's what I was doing for most of my job. I'm a creative person, and that's the bit I love, creating and concocting recipes. It's like a piece of a jigsaw. You create this recipe and then you fine tune it and it's perfect and it's so exciting, like writing a song, but then you have to do all the other stuff, which is less exciting, like the supply chain and all of this, the logistics. I've recently got someone to help me with that, which is game changing. So I'm trying to so hopefully that'll enable me to get back into the stuff I love, whether it's sales or marketing or creative side. We are early days yet. There are some retailers I am really keen to get in with, Waitrose, if you're listening. They are on my list because I just think there's so much, I looked at the trend reports. You see the trend reports and they come out every year and I was like, oh my goodness, tick, tick, tick. We are crispy chili oil.
Trend. Yeah.
We are literally on trend. Spicy, sweet and spicy. By nature, Thai food is sweet and spicy a lot of the time. So we cover a lot of the trends, and I think we've got a lot to offer. And I think it's just the beginning. happening. It's great we're on Ocado in the Co-op because it means more national coverage, but I think there's so much to be done there. It's about getting it on shelves, getting people to recognise the brand. We're still very young, so most people won't have heard of us. So there's so much we can do. And the chili oil market is massive, and I think we can get, further into that. And yeah, it's an exciting time.
But you have a USP there. I've tasted a lot of chili oils. I love chili oil. That chili oil is quite different, isn't it?
Yes.
There is something very different about it. So if you are a chili oil fan, I would see if you can pick up a Wolf's Kitchen chili oil on Ocado, because it really will add something slightly different to the collection.
Yeah. And that is the thing, it's different to what's out there, and I'm confident in that. I know from the feedback, so it's just getting it to people's hands. We're also trying to get into food service. It's sold in a few, well, not sold, it's on the menu in a few restaurants and salad bars, so that's an area we're looking at as well. Yeah, there's a lot of potential. It's just knowing where to start. As a founder, you can end up doing everything and spreading yourself too thin, so that's the challenge. Focus.
Oh, I love it. And my last question, I want to just ask you, what's something that we don't know about you?
Well, some people know about this, but I don't think it's, everyone. I used to be a singer. And I even found a couple of my songs on Instagram.
Amazing.
You can put it as one of your reels. I can't remember which ones they were now, but I used to be a singer. I did the gigging circuit around East London for ages. I even played at Glastonbury once.
Glastonbury, that's incredible.
I featured on dance songs. Yeah, there's a whole range. I wrote a song once. Actually, I didn't sing on this, but it was on loads of compilations. And I remember I had signed it off. I knew that it had been done, but I hadn't heard it for years. And I'm listening to this song with a different voice thinking, hang on, I recognise this chorus. And it's because it was the one I'd written.
No way. That's amazing. What got you into singing?
Well, I'd been into singing for the longest time, ever since I was a teenager. I used to play the guitar, used to love, writing songs. And again, I find there's a real similarity with food and music. It's about that creative, concocting something, creating something from nothing, and that excitement that you get when you actually come up with something that's, this story, if you like. So I used to love writing songs. Then I worked with others and collaborated and fell into doing drum and bass and dance music and all of this stuff, and then went on my own. And then I had kids, and I fell out of love with it and realised it's never going to be the career I want it to be. And yeah, I knew that wasn't where I was going to be after I'd had the kids. So it was about finding another passion. I'm very sort of passion driven in terms of what I want to do for purpose. It doesn't always work like that, but for me, that was really important. I didn't just want to sit at a desk, and I think music, about being a performer, which I love being on stage. So now I get to go on stage, but as a chef demo.
Yeah, which is amazing though, isn't it? That some of my friends who've done singing, that even if it doesn't become their career, the ability to stand up and make yourself quite vulnerable in front of a big group of people is an incredible skill set for, like you say, being a chef demo or standing up or being on a panel or, talking in front of a whole group of people and sharing your story. It's incredible skill set.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm always thinking, oh gosh, that happened for a reason. I did sales. That was one of my very first jobs, selling double glazing. And actually, as brutal as that was at the time, all those skills you need as a food founder. It's not just about the food, actually. I'm definitely not wanting to sit behind a spreadsheet all day. Yeah, all of the stuff I've done has contributed to where I am today.
Oh, it's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this story. It's absolutely, found it really inspiring listening to how you've followed your heart and been really creative and kind of just listened to what felt good.
Thank you so much. It's been lovely to chat.
Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to Food Rebels, which is available on radio stations around the UK and further afield. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and Audible. Please remember to subscribe and rate us with 5 stars or follow us. It makes such a difference, not just to our podcast and radio show, but it really helps to support the guests that come on the show with us. We're also on Instagram at food_rebels. So give us a follow, do get in touch. We love hearing from you and let us know what you think. Thanks so much for joining us and make sure you taste the rebellion.